Have you ever felt utterly exhausted from constantly trying to fit into the mold others have created for you? What if the real burden isn't the world's judgment, but the pressure you silently carry trying to be enough? And what if the answer lies not in being louder or doing more, but in going inward, in choosing stillness over noise? In a world drowning in distractions, comparisons, and constant noise, it's easy to lose your center. You push yourself to meet others' expectations, fearing their judgment, hoping for their approval. Yet each step further from yourself brings more emptiness. What truly matters, the peace that originates from within, gets buried beneath the weight of performance. True tranquility, as Stoic wisdom reminds us, is not found in fleeting applause or external validation. It is discovered in the deep stillness of your own heart, in your ability to stay grounded, to return to yourself in the face of pressure. Stoicism doesn't teach escape, it teaches endurance through internal mastery. Rather than chasing what lies outside our grasp, Stoicism invites us to direct our energy inward, toward mastering our thoughts, balancing our emotions, and shaping our actions with clarity. This is not passive reflection, it's the bold reclaiming of who we are in a world that constantly demands who we should be. So take a moment, step back from the chaos, embrace the silence you've been avoiding. Within it lies clarity, within it you become your own anchor. What I'm about to share is not abstract theory, it's a collection of lived lessons shaped through experience, reflection, and the pursuit of self-truth. Each one holds power, not to change the world outside you, but to change the way you walk through it. Set aside the notifications, the noise, the mental clutter. Open yourself, fully and honestly, to what lies ahead. These insights are more than words, they are keys to serenity, to inner freedom, to becoming whole again. Let's begin this transformative journey together, rediscovering self-love in a world that glorifies romance. We live in a culture that paints romantic love as the ultimate fulfillment, the happy ending to every story. From childhood fairy tales to the curated perfection of couple photos on social media, we're taught to believe that being loved by someone else is the golden ticket to happiness. But is that really the full story? Stoicism offers a radical shift in perspective. It teaches us that happiness is not something we find in another person. It begins and flourishes within us. True self-love isn't boastful or arrogant. It's rooted in self-respect, quiet understanding, and the courageous acceptance of both our strengths and flaws. Imagine going through heartbreak, the kind that leaves you hollow, the kind that makes you question your worth. But with genuine self-love, that pain doesn't consume you. You carry it, yes, but not as a wound. You carry it as a symbol of your inner resilience. When you nurture self-love, you no longer seek relationships out of loneliness. You seek them out of abundance. Instead of needing someone to complete you, you connect with others from a place of wholeness. Think of that friend you haven't spoken to in a while, the one who always makes you laugh, even on the worst days. When you value yourself, you naturally make space for such relationships. You prioritize them, you cherish them. Self-love also opens your eyes to the world around you. When you truly care for yourself, you begin to notice the silent struggles of others. You hold space, you listen more. Even a small act, like holding the door for someone or offering a genuine compliment, becomes a thread in a tapestry of connection. Love, as you come to see, isn't limited to romance. It flows in every act of humanity. Loving yourself doesn't mean shutting out the possibility of romantic love. It simply means you no longer depend on it to feel worthy. You wake up and choose joy for yourself, whether it's a peaceful walk beneath a golden sunset or the simple pleasure of completing a goal you've set. These everyday moments, though seemingly ordinary, carry extraordinary power. A romantic plotline may add color to life, but it's not the only path to meaning. Sometimes it's the quiet strength of self-respect, the warmth of deep friendships, and the spark of kindness that brings the richest sense of fulfillment. Self-love, at its core, isn't a destination. It's the compass that leads to a life of real freedom and lasting happiness. Now that we've begun reconnecting with ourselves, let's move one step further, discovering the transformative power of solitude and mastering how we use our time. Finding peace in solitude and mastering time. Have you ever looked back at your week and wondered, where did all my time go? Between the back-to-back meetings, endless scrolling, unfinished tasks, and digital noise, it's easy to forget a profound truth. Time is the most valuable asset we possess. And unlike money, once it's gone for good. Seneca once wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." These words cut through the fog of modern busyness. Time, in its purest form, is a gift, an irreplaceable gift, and how we choose to use it determines the richness of our lives. Imagine beginning your morning not with chaos and messages, but with breath, with intention. You wake up and instead of diving straight into your phone, you sit quietly, reflect, and breathe deeply. You ask yourself, what really matters to me today? That simple act, just a few quiet moments, becomes a powerful declaration. I am choosing to lead my day, not be led by it. Every deliberate choice, whether it's the way we greet the day, the passion we pursue, or the stillness we allow, becomes the foundation of a more meaningful life. Stoicism urges us not to chase time but to honor it by finding peace in the one place that's always accessible, our inner world. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." Stillness isn't isolation. It isn't emptiness. It's a sacred return to our essence. In solitude, we stop performing, we stop pretending, and we start listening to the whispers of our true desires. Consider the story of a young woman who set out alone on a hiking trip, far from the expectations of society. In the silence of the forest, she realized she'd spent years living for others, pleasing her parents, impressing her colleagues. But in that stillness, something clicked. She remembered her dream to write. That moment of solitude gave her back her voice. What if today were your last day? Would you spend it scrolling endlessly, worried about unread emails or stewing over a disagreement? Or would you fill it with meaning, creating, loving, exploring, and truly living? Time isn't something to pass. It's something to live through moment by conscious moment. When we pause and reflect, questions like, what do I want, or what brings me joy, no longer feel daunting. They become pathways to rediscovering ourselves. In that quiet space, you'll uncover more than just peace. You'll build a foundation of inner strength, one that grounds you in your values, clarifies your intentions, and equips you to stand firm in the face of life's storms. Which brings us to the next vital lesson, building strength through self-reliance. Self-reliance is one of the most liberating and empowering qualities you can cultivate. In a world addicted to comparisons where so many chase approval and validation from others, choosing to rely on yourself is a revolutionary act. Picture a day when nothing seems to go right. Your boss is disappointed, your team criticizes you, and you feel overwhelmed. In those moments, the comfort of praise won't carry you. It's your own resilience that will. The quiet strength that says, I've been here before and I will rise again. When you stop waiting for someone else to fix things, support you, or lift you up, you start discovering your true power. Self-reliance isn't about being perfect or shutting others out. It's about knowing deep down that you are capable, that you can choose action over inaction, Courage over fear. Start with the basics. Take control of something small, your budget, your schedule, your health. Instead of relying on someone else to manage your responsibilities, start managing them yourself. Track your spending, set goals, celebrate progress. It's more than a skill, it's a declaration that you are the author of your own life. Have you ever felt alone in a crowd? That moment when you realize, I don't need anyone else to make me feel whole. That's the power of self-reliance. It's learning to enjoy your own company, finding magic in simple rituals like journaling at dawn, walking in nature, or sipping tea in silence. When you live from that place of self-trust, everything changes. You stop chasing others to fill a void. You stop bending for approval. You begin living in alignment with dignity, confidence, and calm. Others will notice. They'll be drawn not to your words, but to your quiet certainty. Let this be your reminder. You don't need the world to tell you who you are. You've always been whole. You've always been enough. You simply have to believe it and act like it. Comment below. I choose self-reliance if you're ready to take that first bold step into your own power. And now let's explore another cornerstone of self-respect, learning to say no with confidence. Saying no may be one of the hardest things to do, yet it's also one of the most powerful gifts you can give yourself. It's not a rejection of others, it's a deep affirmation of your values, your priorities, and your self-worth. Marcus Aurelius gave us a simple, life-changing tool. Ask yourself at every moment, is this necessary? Those words hold the power to reshape your life. Imagine a busy afternoon. You're barely keeping up with your own tasks and a colleague asks for help, again, for something they've procrastinated. You hesitate. You want to help, but you're drowning in your own work. If you say yes, you sacrifice your own goals. If you say no, you protect your boundaries. You say, my time is valuable. My energy deserves respect. That's not selfishness, it's self-preservation. Saying no isn't about shutting people out. It's about creating space for what truly matters. And when you start saying no to things that drain you, you open the door to deeper, more meaningful connections with people who respect you and your time. Practice with small moments. Decline a meeting that adds no value. Step away from a conversation that leaves you drained. These small acts build a habit of self-respect. True freedom, as the Stoics knew, is found not in doing everything, but in doing what matters most. Epictetus wrote, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life, and that freedom begins when we stop being ruled by the demands of others." So pause. Look around. Are you carrying obligations that no longer serve you? Are there people in your life who constantly take but rarely give? If so, let your no be clear, kind, and confident. Each time you say no with purpose, you reclaim a part of yourself. You make room for growth, healing, and joy. You move one step closer to a life of balance and inner peace. Let's continue exploring how to protect and preserve that peace inside and out. The empowering art of saying no. Saying no is not an act of defiance. It is an affirmation of dignity. It's a quiet way of declaring that your energy, your values, and your time are not infinite resources to be spent on every request that comes your way. If you don't learn to value your own limits, no one else will. Imagine this. Someone asks something of you that feels like a stretch, emotionally, mentally, or physically. You feel that familiar pressure rising, the urge to be agreeable. But what if, instead of saying yes from guilt, you paused and gave yourself permission to say no from self-respect? Saying no doesn't shrink your value, it amplifies it. It shows the world you know where you end and where others begin. And over time, it helps filter the people in your life. Those who truly care will respect your boundaries. Those who don't were never truly invested in you. Like any skill, saying no gets easier with practice. Decline a meeting that isn't necessary. Walk away from conversations that drain your peace. Each time you do, you're choosing authenticity over obligation. Stoicism reminds us that true freedom begins the moment we stop trying to control everything and start focusing on what we can influence, our choices, energy, and values. So ask yourself, are there relationships or responsibilities that weigh you down? Is there a yes you've been giving that's costing you your joy? Start saying no, not out of resistance, but out of love for yourself. Because in doing so, you begin to carve a life of clarity, intention, and balance. Caring for yourself, inside and out. Self-care isn't just a buzzword. It's a revolutionary act in a world that constantly tells you to keep going, keep producing, keep pleasing. True self-care is not about spa days or indulgences. It's about returning to yourself and affirming, I deserve to be treated with care by me. Stoicism teaches us that respecting ourselves means honoring both our physical and emotional well-being. You don't need grand rituals to begin. A simple walk in fresh air, preparing a wholesome meal, getting a full night's sleep. These are not luxuries, they're foundations. Think for a moment. When was the last time you paused to really listen to your body, to your breath? These quiet, grounded moments are not empty, they are deeply healing. In the modern rush, we often sacrifice the basics: food, rest, movement. But what if we saw our bodies as allies, not machines? A well-rested body supports a clear mind. A nourished body offers strength to face challenge. A calm body becomes the vessel for peace. And self-care doesn't stop at the physical. Nurture your mind too. Journal your thoughts. Sit in stillness. Reflect. Even 5 minutes of mental space can dissolve an entire day's tension. Discipline, moderation, and wisdom, core Stoic virtues, are practiced through self-care. Waking early to move your body is discipline. Choosing a nourishing meal over a tempting vice is moderation. Remembering that every act of care today builds the you of tomorrow, that is wisdom. You are not selfish for prioritizing your well-being. You are wise. Because the world does not benefit from your burnout, it benefits from your peace, your strength, your clarity. So ask yourself, what is one small thing you can do today to show yourself love? Begin there, you're worth it. Managing personal finances with ease and intention. What if managing your money wasn't stressful but freeing? What if it became a path not just to security, but to serenity? Epictetus reminds us, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. That's the essence of Stoic financial wisdom, contentment over consumption. Picture this, it's payday. The temptation to splurge is real, gadgets, parties, trends. But before you spend, you pause. You ask, will this truly serve me? That pause, that awareness, is the beginning of financial freedom. Many people spend to soothe emotion or impress others. But what remains after the high? An empty account, lingering regret, heavier heart. I've lived that story. I chased material pleasure, hoping it would fill a void. But eventually the thrills faded, my bank account dwindled, my purpose blurred, and that's when I chose to change. I created a budget. I cut back on what didn't serve me. I started investing in skills, in my health, in experiences. The numbers improved, but more importantly, I improved. I felt in control. I felt prepared. Money isn't evil, but when used unconsciously, it becomes a chain. Used wisely, it becomes a tool for alignment, a pathway to do less but with more meaning, just as Marcus Aurelius said, if you seek tranquility, do less, do what is essential. So look at your spending. Ask, is this enriching my life or distracting me from it? If it's the latter, you already know what to do. True wealth is not in your bank, it's in your choices, your peace of mind, and the freedom you gain when you no longer chase what doesn't matter. Preserving dignity in relationships. In a world that constantly pressures us to conform, dignity becomes a rare and powerful virtue. It's the invisible armor we wear when we choose to stay true to ourselves, especially when it's not easy. Dignity isn't found in applause or approval. It lives in the quiet decisions to live by your values, even when no one is watching, to walk away from what feels wrong, to hold your ground when it would be easier to fold. Think of the times when you were asked to compromise your truth, maybe at work, maybe in love. Saying no to dishonesty or manipulation might cost comfort, even connection, but it preserves your soul. Consider this. You're asked to lie for a colleague. Say nothing about a mistake. Everyone does it, they say, but you can feel it in your bones. It's not right, so you decline. Gently, calmly, without drama. That choice, that moment of quiet refusal, is dignity, and it speaks louder than any argument ever could. We often trade pieces of ourselves to be liked, accepted, or loved. But what if you didn't have to? What if being truly you was more than enough? Seneca once said, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." When you uphold your dignity, you naturally draw in relationships built on trust, not performance, on mutual respect, not one-sided compromise. Even in love, the same holds true. If you have to become someone else to be loved, that isn't love, that's erasure. True connection honors the truth in both people. Ask yourself, are your relationships strengthening your values or weakening them? Are you dimming your light to be accepted or standing tall in your truth? Let your dignity be your guide, not pride, not ego, but the steady compass that keeps you aligned with who you really are. And from that place of strength, let's step into the next lesson, how to find calm amidst the chaos of life. Speak less, do more, let your life speak. Let the way you live, not the words you say, be the strongest testament to who you are. In a world filled with performance and projection, there is something deeply powerful about quiet integrity. Think back. Have you ever trusted someone based on their eloquence, only to be disappointed when their actions fell short? Perhaps a colleague assured you they'd have your back, but disappeared when the pressure rose. Now think of that quiet friend, the one who never made grand declarations but showed up when it truly mattered. No praise, no spotlight, just presence. Which one earned your trust? The answer is clear. Today's world is saturated with promises. Social media is a theater of ideals, grand beliefs, curated kindness, inspiring quotes. But words are cheap if not lived. Stoicism warns us not to be swept away by charming speeches or declarations. Look closer. Observe the pattern of a person's choices, their consistency in hard times, their loyalty when no one is watching. There lies truth. When you choose to observe instead of reacting, you become wiser. You protect your energy from being wasted on surface noise. You begin to see who people really are, not by what they say, but by what they do. And more importantly, you begin to hold yourself to that same standard. Let your own life reflect your values. Start with the little things. Pick up the responsibility no one asked you to do. Show kindness without expectation. Work toward your goals without broadcasting every step. This is the Stoic way, to lead by quiet example, not noise. And in your relationships, practice patience over complaint. When someone breaks a promise, respond not with anger, but with clarity. Adjust your boundaries, protect your peace. Let your silence be strength. Let your actions tell the story. One day, when others look back, they won't remember what you said. They'll remember what you consistently did. So ask yourself, which speaks louder in your life, words or action? Finding stillness in the embrace of nature. Imagine this: Early morning in a forest. Dew on the leaves. A quiet mist clings to the ground. The only sound is the rustle of wind and the distant call of birds. No to-do list. No deadlines, just stillness. In that moment, you are not a role, a job title, a performance. You are simply human, alive, breathing, aware. Nature gives us something we don't often allow ourselves, permission to just be, not strive, not impress, just exist in harmony. Under the stars, we feel small but not insignificant. We realize we are part of something much greater, and that perspective is powerful. The burdens we carry, the petty arguments, the pressure to prove, the endless chasing, shrink when placed next to the vastness of the sky. Every star contributes silently to the beauty of the cosmos. They don't shout for attention, and yet they guide sailors, they spark awe, they endure. So can you. Nature also teaches us the art of surrender. Watch the leaves fall in autumn. They don't resist the wind, they let go. What could you release today that would make your life feel lighter? Often we cling to old pain, outdated identities, unnecessary expectations. But peace is found not in grasping, but in allowing, in trusting the cycle, in breathing through the unknown. I remember once stopping mid-run, struck by the flow of a small stream. The water curved effortlessly around rocks and tree roots, not fighting, just moving with grace. That stream became a symbol for me, a mirror of how life could feel if I stopped resisting and started flowing. Being in nature does more than calm the nervous system. It brings us back to truth, back to ourselves. Take a moment, go outside, sit in the park, feel the wind, listen, not with your ears, but your whole being. Let nature speak to your soul in the language of stillness, because the calm you are searching for is already within you. Nature just reminds you where to look. Final reflection. The journey. Inward is the journey forward. We've now explored 10 Stoic lessons, 10 invitations to come back to yourself in a world that pulls you in every direction. These are not lofty ideas for monks or emperors. They are tools, anchors, practices for real life. Self-love that doesn't depend on others. Solitude that nourishes rather than isolates. Boundaries that protect your energy. Actions that speak louder than any post or speech. Simplicity in finances. Dignity in relationships. Calm in chaos. Stillness in nature. These are not just philosophies. They are blueprints for peace. Life will not slow down. Expectations will not vanish. But you can choose to rise differently. You can choose to lead from within, to live with presence, purpose, and power that doesn't shout, but echoes. So take what you've learned. Start small. Let these lessons shape your days. Revisit them, reflect on them. Let them become a compass in moments of doubt. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to return, again and again, to the quiet, to your breath, to your values. Because in the end, the journey to focus on yourself is not selfish. It is sacred. It is how you become the strongest, clearest, most grounded version of you, not for the world's applause, but for your own soul's peace. Thank you for walking this path with me. Let's continue, silently, intentionally, and with courage. Living with financial freedom through simplicity. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If you seek tranquility, do less, or more accurately, do what is essential." These words aren't just advice for time management. They are a compass for your entire relationship with money, value, and peace. True financial wellness isn't measured by how much you earn or accumulate. It's measured by how aligned your spending is with your values. Every purchase, every expense, every financial decision is a reflection of your priorities. When we spend without intention, we trade not just our money, but our peace. Ask yourself, does this expense genuinely enrich my life? Does it help me grow, connect, or heal? Or is it a fleeting fix for deeper dissatisfaction? When we answer honestly, we begin to see our bank accounts as not just numbers, but maps of our inner clarity or confusion. Money, as the Stoics teach, is a tool, not the goal, and tools are only as good as the purpose they serve. When you build a financial safety net, not out of fear, but out of intention, you lay the foundation for freedom. The kind of freedom that lets you say no to toxic jobs, to choose time over toil, to invest in things that matter, your health, your learning, your relationships. The less you depend on unnecessary consumption, the more you depend on your own values. That's real wealth. That's the freedom. Stoicism points us toward, not extravagance, but a life aligned with meaning. Let your money reflect your highest truths, and in doing so, you'll experience what most millionaires never do: inner peace, upholding dignity in a world that demands compromise. We live in a noisy world, flooded with expectations: what to wear, how to act, who to become. But in the midst of this chaos, Stoicism gives us a clear, steady anchor: dignity. Dignity is not pride. It's not about ego or image. It's about truth. The truth of who you are when you're no longer trying to impress, perform, or belong. It is the courage to stand firm in your values, even when it's inconvenient, even when it costs you something. Think of the workplace scenario. You're asked to do something unethical, maybe cover up an error, maybe fudge a number. You know saying no could isolate you, even risk your career. But deep down, you also know if you say yes, you lose something more precious: yourself. The quiet strength to say no without blame or drama, that is dignity. It's the power to choose honesty, even when no one's watching. Have you ever agreed to something against your better judgment, just to keep the peace? That hollow feeling afterward, the quiet ache of self-betrayal, is your soul reminding you that dignity was left behind. Dignity doesn't come from others' approval. It comes from your own integrity. When you respect yourself, you teach the world how to treat you. When you stand in your truth, you create safe space, not just for yourself, but for others who need the courage to do the same. This also applies to love. If a relationship demands you to constantly change, compromise your values, or hide who you are, it isn't love. It's performance. Real love accepts truth. It encourages growth. It doesn't demand erasure. Seneca said, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." When you honor your dignity, you attract relationships rooted in trust, not control, in authenticity, not manipulation. Let your life be a declaration: I will no longer shrink to fit into spaces that were never designed for my full self. Stand tall, stand honest, stand free. Cultivating calm in the heart of chaos. Chaos is a part of life. Traffic jams, criticism, failure, setbacks, these things will always come. But what Stoicism teaches us is that our reaction to them is entirely within our control. This is where serenity begins, not when the world calms down, but when you do. Think of a river, swift, wild, unstoppable. Can you stop it? Number. But you can build a bridge. You can learn to move with it, not be consumed by it. You're running late. Everything's going wrong. You feel anger rising. But then you pause. You breathe. You shift from reaction to observation. Suddenly, you see the moment as it is, not as a threat, but as a challenge, a chance to practice calm. Stoics call this premeditatio malorum, the preparation for adversity. Picture possible challenges in advance: a rude comment, a failed plan, an unexpected bill. Prepare your mind to meet these events with grace, not denial, not suppression, but mastery. Serenity is not reserved for monks or philosophers. It is practiced in everyday moments, at the dinner table during a difficult call, in the quiet of your car. It is a choice made again and again, until it becomes your nature. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. And if you've ever stood in the rain with no umbrella, you already understand. Sometimes peace comes not from staying dry, but from dancing anyway. Speak less, do more, let the quiet lead. In today's world, loud voices seem to dominate on social media, in boardrooms, even in conversations. But Stoicism reminds us, words without action are just noise, and noise fades. What remains, what resonates, is action. Epictetus wrote, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. You say you value compassion, show it. You believe in growth, practice it. Want to be trusted? Be consistent. Think of someone in your life whose actions spoke volumes, even when they said little. Their quiet reliability, their follow-through, their integrity. That is Stoic power in motion. When you speak less and do more, you conserve your energy. You stop performing and start living. You let your results be your reputation. This doesn't mean silence out of fear. It means intention. It means choosing your words the way a sculptor shapes clay, with care, with precision. In love, this principle is profound. Instead of endless declarations, give presence. Instead of promises, give consistency. Let your loved ones feel your truth in the way you hold space, honor boundaries, and support growth. Speak less, but when you do, let your words come from depth, not reaction. And until then, let your actions echo louder than any speech. In the end, you don't need to prove who you are, you just need to live it. Nature, your original teacher of stillness. In the wild, nothing rushes, nothing explains. The tree doesn't apologize for standing tall. The moon doesn't announce its return. The ocean doesn't brag about its depth. And yet, we are moved by them, deeply. Why? Because they embody what we seek: presence, clarity, rhythm, truth. When you walk into nature, whether it's a forest trail or a quiet field, you return to yourself. You begin to breathe again. You begin to see clearly again. Even a short walk in silence without your phone reconnects you to your original wisdom. Look at the sky. Watch how clouds move without effort. Feel the earth beneath your feet. Listen to the wind. The world teaches you urgency. Nature teaches you patience. And as you reconnect, you'll realize something essential. The calm you crave is not out there. It's not in another book, another success, another person. It's within you. It always has been. You were just too busy to notice. Let the trees teach you to grow upward, without rush. Let the rivers teach you to flow around resistance. Let the seasons remind you it's okay to pause. It's okay to shed. It's okay to begin again. Let nature be your mirror. Let it show you the resilience, rhythm, and peace that were in you all along. And as we close this chapter, remember, every step you take toward yourself is a return home. Final reflection. A Stoic guide to returning to yourself. You've just traveled through 10 powerful principles, each rooted in Stoic wisdom, each crafted not just for understanding, but for living. This journey was never about escaping the noise of life. It was about discovering the silence inside you that can withstand it. As we reach the end, let us step back and see the entire picture, one that paints a clear and empowering path toward inner freedom. We began with a reminder that our world is constantly pulling us outward, toward the expectations of others, the demands of modern life, and the performative pressures of digital culture. But within each of us, there exists a quiet space, a still center untouched by chaos. That's where this journey begins and ends, in the rediscovery of your own peace. Rediscovering self-love taught us that worthiness isn't earned through someone else's affection. It is remembered, cultivated, and protected from within. Self-love is the foundation of resilience. It's not arrogance, it's the compassionate recognition of your humanity. It's how you learn to stand alone, not in loneliness, but in fullness. finding peace in solitude, reminded us that time is not just something we spend, it's something we live through. And when we stop rushing through it, we start savoring it. Solitude is not an absence, it's a presence, where we meet our real desires, our long-forgotten dreams, and our most honest truths. Building strength through self-reliance. Help to see that we don't need to outsource our confidence. The strength to rise doesn't come from others, it comes from within. You already have what it takes to endure, to rebuild, to lead. You simply need to remember and act. Learning to say no with confidence was a return to boundaries. Saying no is not rejection, it is protection. When you draw lines that preserve your peace, you stop leaking energy into places that never nourished you in the first place. Your time is sacred. So is your attention. Caring for yourself, inside and out. Shifted self-care from indulgence to discipline. It is not about proving your worth to others. It is about preserving your soul. A nourished body supports a focused mind. A rested body holds the space for joy. The act of caring for yourself becomes a quiet protest against a world that expects you to always give more. Managing personal finances with intention. Redefined wealth. Money is not power. Money is not identity. Money is a tool, and tools should serve your purpose, not become your prison. Simplicity, not scarcity, is the pathway to abundance. When you spend with alignment, you live with clarity. Maintaining dignity in relationships. Returned us to the power of integrity. The world will try to twist you to fit in. But true belonging doesn't ask you to become someone else. It asks you to stay who you are. Your dignity is your compass. Follow it, even if it takes you alone into the unknown. Embracing calmness in chaos. Brought us the reminder that storms will come, but they don't have to shake you. Peace isn't the absence of problems, it's the presence of perspective. And when you stop fighting the wind and start adjusting your sails, life becomes navigable again. Speaking less and doing more became the whisper in a loud world. Your life should be your message, not your speeches, not your declarations, just the quiet consistency of living what you believe. And if you must speak, let your words echo the truth already proven by your actions. Reconnecting with nature's stillness was the final call to return, not just to nature, but to naturalness, to unforced rhythms, to surrender, to the soft yet unshakable wisdom of the world around you. Nature never performs, and yet it teaches everything. Its silence humbles, its patterns guide, and its stillness restores. Together, these lessons form a philosophy not of escape, but of engagement, a new way to stand in the world without being swallowed by it. Stoicism is not about apathy, it is about strength, quiet, deep, and deliberate. So what now? What will you take with you as you walk away from this journey? Take this. You are not powerless. You are not broken. You are not behind. Everything you seek, peace, confidence, clarity, is already within you, covered perhaps, but never gone. These principles are not steps to be mastered overnight. They are seeds. Plant them, water them, return to them when life feels heavy or hollow. They will grow with you. They will evolve as you do. There will be days when you forget, days when you fall, days when everything feels distant again. That's okay. Come back. Sit in silence. Remember your breath. Remember your truth. Remember this. You are enough, even in the stillness, especially in the stillness. Let that be your starting point. And from there, walk forward.